Welcome students. Hope you all are healthy and happy. Students, do you remember what we learned in the previous class?
Yes, we learned about Buddhism. Today, we are going to learn about Jainism. So, let's begin.
Vardhamana Mahavira, a contemporary of Sri Buddha, propagated Jainism. According to the beliefs of the Jains, there are 24 Tirthankaras. Mahavira was the 24th Tirthankara. Jainism also laid great importance on ahimsa. The teachings of Jainism condemned all sorts of harm meted to humans or living beings. As in Buddhism, Jainism was also against Vedic practices and caste system. Jainism brought radical changes in the Indian society. Mahavira advised the people to lead right life by following the principles of right belief, right knowledge, and right action. The Jain saints were abstained from telling lies, killing, stealing, and acquiring wealth. They followed celibacy in life. Jainism encouraged construction of stone pillars, cave temples, and statues. The best example for this is the statue of Gomadeshwar in Sravanabalgola in Karnataka. The separation of the followers of Jainism into Svedambaras and Digambaras resulted in the decline of the religion. The common feature of both Buddhism and Jainism was that they used the language of the common man, Pali and Prakrit, for propagating their ideologies. Look at the picture. It is the depiction of a relief panel on a pillar in a Buddhist monastery in Barhat, Madhya Pradesh. What are the scenes encarved in the pillar? Can you find them? The king stands in front of two trees with his right hand raised. The king and his queens stand in obeisance. The king kneels down at a throne with Buddha's footprints. These are the different depictions of Ajatashatru, the ruler of Magadha, visiting Buddha. Magadha was one of the 16 Mahajanapadas existed in ancient India. Let us have a look into the growth of Mahajanapadas. With the development of agriculture, people began to settle down in a particular place. The places where people placed their food or where the tribe placed its foothold came to be known as Janapada. Some of these Janapadas combined together to form the Mahajanapadas. There were 16 such Mahajanapadas in the Indian subcontinent. The Mahajanapadas were either ruled by kings or by Ganasanghas. Regions lying close to the Himalayan foothills had more of Ganasanghas ruling them, whereas most of the Mahajanapadas in the Gangetic plain were under the rule of kings. Ganasangha. Groups of tribes or tribal heads are called Ganasangha. This system of administration sustains unity based on public decision. If there was any difference of opinion, it was left to the opinion of the public. Administration was based on democratic principles. Such Janapadas were known according to the tribes that had settled there. Thus, the people started to show their loyalty not only onto their tribes but also on the places where they had settled. The most powerful among the Mahajanapadas was Magadha. What might be the reasons for their supremacy? Let's examine. Rich deposits of iron ore enabled the making of weapons and farming equipments. Ganga and her tributaries made Magadha a fertile land. trees from nearby forests in the Gangetic Plains were used for making big boats to facilitate trade. Made use of elephants in battles. Progress in agriculture and commerce. Water transportation. Powerful kingship and highly efficient military.
Students, now let's find out the names of the main rulers of Magadha and their clans. Look at this table.
Bimbisara and Ajatashatru, Haryanka dynasty. Shishunagan and Kalashogan in Shishunaga dynasty. Mahapadmanandan in Nanda dynasty. Alexander. Alexander was a ruler of Macedonia in Greece. He extended the Greek Empire by defeating many Persian kings. He was a student of the famous Greek philosopher and thinker Aristotle. Alexander was interested in geography and history and hence recorded the historicity of the places he had captured and also their geographical settings. In BCE 327, Alexander attacked India to capture all regions under the Persian emperor and to spread Greek culture.
Before the invasion of Alexander, the northwestern region of India were conquered by the Persian ruler Cyrus. The knowledge of the wealth of India and the lack of unity among the rulers in the northwestern region had prompted him to attack India. Following Cyrus, Darius first attacked India and took hold of Sindh and Punjab. Students, now let us look into the results of the invasion of the Persians and Macedonia. Persia. Trade relations between Persia and India increased. Macedonia. Trade relations with Europe were strengthened. A new script named Kharoshthi was introduced. New trade routes, both land and sea, developed. Influenced Indian sculpture. Geographical knowledge increased. Persian gold coins were circulated in India. Unification of regions in the northwestern frontiers of India took place. The philosophers and scholars in India got ample encouragement from the Persians. Greek architecture was introduced in India. Now, let us summarize what we learned in this chapter. The people who spoke the Indo-European language Sanskrit came to be known as Aryans. The main occupation of the Aryans was cattle rearing and their means of income were cattle. They followed a societal pattern of living in tribes. The use of iron weapons brought Aryans to the Gangetic Plain. Agriculture became the main means of income and occupation. Society existed in 4 strata, namely Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. Kingship began during this age. New ideas sprung up in 6th century BCE. 16 Mahajanapadas were formed in different parts of the Indian subcontinent. A new power structure with Magadha at its center came into existence. New trade relations started with Persians and Macedonians. Hope you all understood what we learned in this chapter. We will meet in the next class with a new chapter. Be happy, be safe. Thank you.